What is Einstein's riddle? Einstein's riddle, also known as the zebra riddle, is a very famous puzzle, and it is said that only 2% of the population could solve it, rumored to have been written by Einstein as a boy. The mysterious true author of the riddle contains a lineup of geniuses, including Lewis Carroll. The burning question remains, are you able to figure it out? These are the facts of Einstein's riddle. There are 5 houses in 5 different colors. In each houses lives a person with a different nationality. These 5 owners drink a certain beverage, smoke a certain brand of cigarette, and keep a certain pet. No owners have the same per brand of cigarette or drink. And the clues are: the Brit lives in a red house, the Swede keeps a dog, the Dane drinks tea, the greenhouse is on the left of the white one. The greenhouse owner drinks coffee, the person who smokes pot keeps bird, the owner of the yellow house smokes downhill, the man living in the center house drinks milk. The Norwegian lives in the first house. The man who smokes blends lives direct next to the man who smokes downhill. The man who smokes Blue Master drinks beer. The German smokes Prince. The Norwegian lives next to the blue house. The man who smokes blends has a direct neighbor who drinks water. And the question is, who owns the fish? The answer is the German. How did I solve it? These are the options. The possible nationalities are Norwegian, Brit, Swede, Dane, and German. The possible colors are red, green, white, yellow, and blue. The possible beverages are tea, coffee, milk, beer, and water. The possible cigars are Pall Mall, Dunhill, Blends, Blue Master, and Prince. And lastly, the possible pets are dogs, birds, cats, horses, and fish. Well, we know there are 5 houses. We'll assume they're all in a row and are numbered from left to right. We know the Norwegian is in the first house. Since the Brit lives in the red house, the Norwegian can't. We also know that the Norwegian lives next to the blue house, so his house isn't blue. We also know that the green house is to the left of the white house. The Norwegian can live in the white house since there is no house to the left, and can't live in the green house because his only neighbor, the one to the right, is known as to live in the blue house. Therefore, the Norwegian lives in the yellow house. We also know the owner of the yellow house smokes downhill and that the Norwegian has a neighbor with blue house. The Norwegian only has one neighbor to the right. So here's what our matrix looks like now. The man who keeps horses lives next to the man who smokes downhill. So the horse owner lives in the blue house. The center house's owners drinks milk, the greenhouse's owner drinks coffee, and the greenhouse is to the left of the white house. Since we know the left 2 houses are the yellow and blue house, the only position for the green and the white are green as the 4th and white as the 5th. Since the middle or 3rd drinks milk and the owner of the greenhouse drinks coffee, the middle house has to be red and therefore is the Brits. So now this is the what we know. The owner who smokes Blue Master drinks beer, since we know what houses number 3 and number 4 drink and neither are beer, and we know what house number 1 smokes and it's not Blue Master. The only possibilities are houses number 2 and number 5. And keep this information in mind. Since it is evident house number 1 cannot drink beer, only house number 2 or number 5 can. The only possible beverages for house number 1 are water and tea, but since the Dane drinks tea, House number 1 drinks water. The man who smokes blends lives next to someone who drinks water. The only house next to number 1, the water drinking house, is number 2. The man who smokes blends lives next to the one who has cats, so the cat house is number 1 or number 3. Since the Dane drinks tea, he must live in either house number 2 or number 5. The Swede and German could live in house number 2, number 4, or number 5. We know the beer drinker smokes Blue Master. The only houses that could drink beer are number 2 and number 5. But since we know that number 2 smokes blends, number 5 must be the house which drinks beer and smokes. Blue Master and number 2 has to be the house that drinks tea and the house of the Dane. We can eliminate the possibility of the Dane's residence being house number 5. We know the German smokes prints, therefore, he could not live at house number 5 and therefore has to live at house number 4. The Swede must live at house number 5. We also know house number 5 raises dogs since we know the Swede raises dogs. And that house number 4 smokes prints since the German smokes prints. The only possibility for house number 3 smokes is Pall Mall. All of the others are taken. We know that whoever smokes Pall Mall raises birds. So house number 3 raises birds and house number 1 therefore has cats. Since the only houses which could have had cats were number 1 and number 3, and number 3 has been eliminated. The only remaining pet is the fish, which must be owned by the German. We know who owns the fish and have solved the puzzle. The completed matrix of data is as follows. Persistence. The riddle doesn't require a high level of creativity. It's more about methodically looking at all the possibilities. It probably took quite a bit of time, and that's the way it's designed. A large portion of people don't exercise the patience necessary to see the solution through. Even you might thought about quitting at some point. Critical thinking. Reasoning is the name of the game. I consider critical thinking here to be making sure that there are no contradictions. This involves holding several factors in your working memory. The third is foresight. There is a specific point where you must make an assumption and see how it plays out. This involves entertaining an idea without knowing it to be true in order to further explore the puzzle. When viewed this way, the riddle can serve to teach a very important lesson about the qualities of an intelligent and successful person. Now, we must apply these skills conscientiously to all our serious endeavors rather than the Now, we must apply these skills conscientiously to all our serious endeavors rather than just to be a pleasant puzzle done only for fun. That's the hard part.